Okay, so an update of where we're up to now. It's Friday evening and I'll show you where we are at. So we have the floor lined underneath the plywood there. We've got it all cut out. It's not attached down just yet because we made a few mistakes. So let me show you what we've got. So right here where the first join is, that's where we actually had a thin strip of plywood to go there because these 3 panels don't actually go all the way to the end. But what I've decided is to have the 3 panels lined up to the back of the van and then have the thin strip at the front there where I think there's going to be less traffic to that end of the van, and there's going to be other stuff there that's going to hide that, I think, so that might be best. I had to trim some of the bits, so you'll see there's it's not quite perfect there, and I need to trim off a bit just here to have it in line, and that's where we're at now. However, I realized that I still need to put another layer of foam insulation around the wheel well here, which means that the floor needs to be widened around the wheel well so that foam fits in there. So I'm going to start that tomorrow, make those cuts just to widen the wheel well a little bit more on either side here. And I think we've got enough. We might need to make a small cut on that side there, but widen the wheel well on both sides. I plan to do that tomorrow and then potentially attach the floor down tomorrow. So I need to go to the hardware store and get a few extra bits and pieces, some longer bolts and potentially a longer drill bit, because I think I'm going to have to drill up from the bottom to find the holes in the floor. So I'll do that tomorrow morning, get all of those things, make the cuts, and then attach the floor down. And if we have some more time, either tomorrow or the next day, I'll put the insulation on the walls. So yeah, update, mistakes were made, we're going to roll with it. Okay, welcome to the next day, and what we're going to do now is we're going to apply some insulation around the wheel wells here, which is going to mean I need to change the size of the radius around the wheel well on the floor. But I think that might be a good thing because that'll take another centimetre off the gap that's way at the front there. Yeah, and also I just wanted to show you another mistake that I made. So let's go around this side of the van here. And so this part of the floor, kind of sat up a little bit, and as I closed the van door, it hit that part there. So I'm going to have to repair that a bit later. But for now, we're going to take the floor out from the back here and apply the insulation to the wheel wells, and then recut the wheel well cutouts on the floor and then put it back in. And then I think we'll be ready to start drilling up from the bottom of the van to screw in the floor. So let's do that. So this is the insulation that came with the pack that I bought, and it's 10 millimeters thick. So I'll have to cut 10 millimeters off the the floor cutouts. But yeah, let's get to putting this around the wheel wells now. So I don't know what happened. I think the camera just stopped recording. I wonder if it got too hot or something, but done one wheel well. I'm just going to cover up the joins with this tape and then move on to the next one. It's hot and sweaty work in here doing this. It's 29 degrees Celsius here where I am now, and I guess without any insulation in the van at the moment, it's just letting all that heat in. I guess I got the doors open as well, so that won't help. But yeah, hot and sweaty. Okay, so I'm having a few technical difficulties. The camera is overheating as I'm recording here out in the hot day, but I've finished one wheel well and I'll move on to the other one, but let me show you the first one. So there is the first one done, and as a reminder, it used to look like that. And yeah, there's the insulation on the first wheel well. I'll move over to this one and then we'll cut the floorboard to fit the new size. So the next thing to do is to take about 1 centimetre off the arc of the wheel wells so that it fits with the insulation on. So I'm going to do that now. So I've made this little tool here, and I can put the pencil on the edge of the point, and hopefully that'll give me a 1 centimetre diameter inside the track of the arc of the wheel wells. So I'm going to trace that in now and then cut it. So let's have a look at the line that it drew. So there's the line there. It's kind of maybe more than 1 centimetre, but I'll err on the side of caution and maybe not take too much off. And even if it would take a little bit more off, I think that's not a big deal, because I can just fill in that little gap there. Okay, so we've come in. There's a little bit more of a gap here now, but I think it'll be all right. We might just fill that in with something. But we're all good. There's a bit of a bow in that one now, so I might put some weights on it for a little bit, and I'll have to screw it down to get it to lay flat. But I think that we're up to the next point, which is attaching the floor down, and we've got a bit of a gap at this point here too, where I'll have to put some sealant, not sealant, but something to fill that gap. Okay, so we're going to pivot a little bit from the flooring to do the insulation on the walls, because it's very hot in there while working, so I'm hoping that adding the insulation will cool, or maybe take the edge off that a little bit. But also another mistake, chalk another mistake up. I need to get another drill bit, so I won't be able to do that today. So yesterday was a very hot day, and today is also a very hot day. I started doing the insulation on the side walls here, and we did some work on the floor at the front. I'm going to see if I can continue with the floor and get that attached down today, potentially. If I can't do all of that, then we'll go back to adding insulation to the walls. So I've made some progress on the floor. I've got some of the holes drilled in the second panel, but I'm a little bit stuck on some things, so I will hold off on finishing the floor till I can get some more input. So I'm just going to keep going with the insulation on the walls for the rest of today. Hey, so I've finished the insulation on one side, so let me show you what that looks like. Here is the second layer of the insulation on the passenger side, stuck up against the wall there. So down here is a bit patchy because it's hard to get in behind those panels and in amongst the electrics, so I'm not sure if I'll finish that off completely or leave it a bit as it is, but the rest is all looking pretty good. And as I mentioned, I'm going to hold off on completely attaching the floor down because I'm going to consider whether I want to spend the money and get some more plywood to cut these again, because a bit is slightly off, like the edge of the wheel well there. We don't have a spot for that to sort of attach down, and then not quite up to the front there. So I'm thinking, is it worth the effort? So I'm thinking, is it worth the effort to actually go and get more plywood and then recut it a bit more accurately? At the moment I'm leaning to no and just dealing with it as it is, but I guess we'll see how we go. But for now I'm going to continue with the insulation on the other side. So here's the before shot, just with the sound deadening on there, and have added the van seal to the wheel well there. There's the driver's side, and this one's a bit finicky because trying to get the stuff down in here without it sticking to the wall first is quite difficult. So I have to use lots of little pieces in there. I'll get going on that and see you when I'm done.